It was a quiet Christmas morning, and this year, we had something special planned.
Brian and Andrew were quickly back to sleep, and we passed by some familiar landmarks as we made our way out of Ohio.
This was going to be a good Christmas. The West Virginian hills came into view. Although it was relatively warm below, as we climbed the hills, we were greeted by some beautiful snow. Dolly Sods. We were finally back, only this time in the heart of winter. And Bryan would finally get to experience this beautiful and epic landscape.
The wind chilled us to the bone, but there was only warmth in our souls.
It was astounding how different the world below looked from our snowy vantage point. We stared at the view for a while, but then it was time to head out. We got packed and made our way to the Bear Rocks trailhead.
The brisk wind and falling snow filled us with enthusiasm and anticipation.
On this outing, we would be doing the same loop that we did over a year ago, except we'd be taking a small detour towards the end of the hike. It was incredible to be back for me and Andrew.
Even though it was a different season from when Andrew and Robbie came, I was excited to see what the Dolly Sods landscape had in store for us. It was apparent from the epic landscape that lay before us that we were in for an adventure like no other. Snow frosted the fields and the ice crunched beneath our feet. We weren't sure what to expect from the weather, but we were determined to brave the cold.
The wind billowed across the open landscape as we hiked up and down hills. It was now obvious why all of the trees looked crooked and windswept.
As we hiked on, we entered a lower section of the trail that was sheltered from the wind by walls of spruce trees.
It was nice to get out of the wind for a little while and enjoy the quiet.
We were really worried that it wasn't going to snow, but Dolly Sods, I guess, is a higher altitude than we remember, and there's just snow blanketing everything.
The wind chill has actually proved to be a little bit colder than we expected. Not to mention that, there's still a lot of water on the paths, as you can see right in front of us.
The wind is the first thing you notice. It's like you're just on a big, bald mountain face, and the cold just hits you like nothing. Like when we were here in the summer, it was cold, but here the wind was just really, really strong. But as soon as we got down into this valley here, immediately the wind noise stopped, and you could just kind of hear it hovering above you.
So, this is my first time to Dolly Sods. Figured it'd be a good time to go back, really experience it, especially in the winter. And it's amazing so far.
And it's just so surreal to be back here after being away for more than 1 year. And it's almost like I dreamed of this sort of paradise land, and being back here validates the fact that it wasn't just a dream, but that it actually happened in reality.
But it's a beautiful landscape, just like I remembered.
We're gonna keep on trucking.
By now, the weather seemed to match the sky. As dusk set in, the wind died down, and we had ourselves a calm Christmas hike.
It was amazing to be back. We made our way up a forested hill as the setting sun cast the sky in a pink hue. As we reached the top, the evening sky glowed in shades of lavender and orange, and the crescent moon shone brightly. It was a serene backdrop to silhouetted trees and hills in the distance. As evening receded into the night, we talked about our plans for tonight's camp.
Wow, this is so beautiful though.
There's a campsite that's like really nice that somebody else had.
Yeah. And it's like right in a grove of trees. It should be really good.
Next to flowing water and stuff too. Ooh, it's gonna be beautiful.
How far?
It's not far at all.
Somehow my face has not frozen and fallen off yet, so that's another good thing.
Oh, you didn't have a scarf.
Yeah.
Wow.
My mom's gonna be mad. But
We were near the campsite, but before settling down, we had to cross a cold and precarious stream.
So I'm pretty certain this is the path we need to take. I might have to give in and put my boots in the water here and there. It's a little bit scary considering I've got all this equipment, considering it's freezing cold, and one misstep could result in hypothermia or worse. I made it. Yeah, this is definitely the trail. We're good.
Nice.
Biggest problem is making sure I don't slip on any of these rocks. They seem pretty safe right now. Yeah, they're not too slippery. Oh, well.
You okay?
Yeah. Whew.
To say that I am slightly nervous is accurate. Not that it's deep, but if you fall in, it's gonna be really cold and really wet. So far, so good. This tripod's really heavy, actually. It does help a little bit, though.
Whew. That was tough. My arm is very tired now.
Just across, an open snowy space was nestled between the streams and spruce trees. This would be a perfect, quiet, and peaceful campsite. We got our tent set up, ready to settle down and start a fire for our Christmas night.
Okay, well I've already collected some birch bark, and I really want to try to
This piece right here.
use that to catch a spark. But we're in a grove of pine trees. But one really good thing about pine trees is, well, like this. A lot of times the bottom of pines have all these dead branches that are decent for firewood that you can pick off. And Bryan, you brought some tinder just in case.
I brought some dryer lint, just a whole mass of dryer lint, just in case we needed it.
It's super important to have a fail-proof plan to make a fire if you're camping in the winter. It's always fun to try more traditional methods first.
Well, I'm feather sticking this little stick we found on the ground, and you can feel the moisture as you go through it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a completely different experience of doing a piece of dry wood. But it's actually a little bit easier, I feel like. Not that it'll burn as well, but
We're gonna try with the birch bark first to see if we can do it. I've heard many times that this stuff works even when it's wet, so it's time to test that theory. I'm trying to have my blade almost perpendicular to the bark just so it'll get all these fine shavings. I'm just gonna use the edge of my knife actually at this point because sometimes that's just a lot easier. I'm not too concerned about the sharpness at this point. Another key is patience, and even in ideal conditions it can sometimes take a while to spark something.
There you go, you got it, you got it, you got it.
It's out. Usually this is easier.
I know.
unfortunately, everything was just too damp, and none of our tinder or kindling would catch.
We resorted to using the tinder that I had prepared, and even that took several tries, despite our endless scrambling for wood and constant blowing on the embers.
Put more birch on there. That birch bark is key. They gotta dry out, so we gotta get them on there. Yeah, it's true.
It felt like hours were passing as we tended to the fire. It was a pretty hectic scene. Our clothes had gotten soaked from sitting in the snow, and we were starting to think the situation was hopeless. But even when the flames died and our embers went cold for the second time, we persisted.
Try to collect some more birch bark if you can.
Okay, we'll get it.
This may not look like much, but this is a fire that we spent at least the last hour getting going, maybe longer. We gotta get some real big boys on it to keep this going, but this was a case of never giving up and getting it, man. But anyways, we gotta tend back to this, and pretty soon we're gonna be cooking dinner.
I'm sawing off these little branches on these pine trees because they are full of resin. You can just smell the fat wood, and that is gonna burn really well.
Our fire was finally stable. 'Twas the night of Christmas, and not a creature was stirring. Except for this mouse.
Oh my god, so adorable!
Oh, he just ran under the log.
Uh-oh, I don't know where he went.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Oh, wow.
What is that, a field mouse?
No idea.
And with that, it was time to open our Christmas gifts. It's Christmas night, and we just spent probably the last 2 hours getting this fire started. And as you can tell, it's not the most rip-roaring fire we've ever gotten started. But we brought Christmas dinner. We're not gonna let all that work go to waste. We got our veggies here. I believe it's carrots, onions, and zucchini, unflavored, as I forgot to put any salt on them. And right here we got potatoes as our roast. This is already cooked, so we don't need to wait like 5 hours for that to cook. So I think we're gonna blow on this and then try to get somewhat of a hot meal going.
The good thing about winter camping is that any food you bring is essentially refrigerated, so you can bring meat and vegetables without worrying about it going bad.
I hope you guys are hungry. About to try this roast beast. It's delicious. Oh, wow. This is like heaven. This is literally heaven.
Oh. There are no words to describe how good this is right now. A little bit of onion.
This thing is so soft.
Who would have thought?
This is so good!
Who would have thought that a 2-hour struggle with a fire and we'd be eaten like kings?
I thought about giving up so many times, but I was like, no, let's not give up on something for once. Let's just keep going and keep trying until we completely fail. And we eventually got it going, and the payoff
Well,
is
you can see
literally
it.
smoking in my hands.
So I told some of my friends that I was going camping this winter, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And they said, why would you ever want to go camping in the winter? It's one thing to go camping in the summer when the temperature's fine and it's perfectly comfortable. But to be able to come out here in freezing temperatures, be able to last through a hike, through the night, eat food like this, and know that everything that you need to sustain yourself for these next few days is on your back, it's an unbelievably satisfying experience, and there's really no other way to experience it.
As a child, the excitement of waking up on Christmas Day and opening gifts is insurmountable. But as an adult, it's so much more satisfying to give gifts and kindness to those around us. What could be more fulfilling and enriching than to see those around you, both family and stranger, well-fed, warm, and happy? Giving to others might feel like a sacrifice at first, but like a long hike through wind and snow, its rewards are immeasurable.
In the morning, snow blanketed the hills. We've always loved how snow covers everything up and obscures the border between the trail and the rest of the land. It hides away unsightly asphalt roads and erases property lines and political boundaries, bringing us back to a time when everything was wild and no walls or fences kept people from freedom. A time when people were free to move about across the land, completely uninhibited. We often see winter as an oppressive force, something that prevents us from doing what we want or getting where we need to go. We often get mad at the snow for making us late to our jobs, but maybe we ought to be mad at our jobs for making us late to our families. In the wilderness, we see the snow for what it truly is, a liberator of the soul.
How'd you sleep? How'd you sleep?
Not bad. With that new sleeping bag, it was really good, actually. I think I only had to get up once to reinflate my air mat.
My only problem was my feet were cold, but other than that, I felt really good the whole night.
I was good for the first half of the night, and then I woke up and realized that the cold was starting to permeate my sleeping bag.
My knees were cold, the whole night. And my butt.
There's a couple of things that I could have used, like a unisock, 10 pairs of extra socks, and waterproof boots.
Was it colder than Mohican, you think? Or?
Mohican was definitely colder because I had the exact same equipment that I have now. And when we were at Mohican, I cinched up a hole around my head just like this. And I had 2 socks plugging the hole so that there was just a little bit of air coming in.
In the morning sunlight, the pine needles glowed green, and the snow and water glistened. We took some time to enjoy the peaceful morning. Christmas had passed, but our trip was just beginning.
Before we headed out, we pumped fresh water from the cold stream nearby.
In the meantime, I wrote some thoughts down in the Auld-venture archives. And of course, there was an important part of our morning routine that we had to attend to.
I'm going to the sunny area. Hopefully the snow will pack into a good snowball. Not to throw at people, but to wipe myself with. Yeah, it'll be a little cold. Things will pucker up a bit. But it's one of the best toilet papers I've used. It's nice and soft. I've also used pine needles, but if you use those, you gotta stroke in one direction only. Otherwise, you're in for a world of pain. This is not the most packable snow, so I might have to use pine needles. That might work though.
If you decide to use snow as toilet paper, the sunlight will eventually start melting everything and make it much more packable and easy to use.
The weather was so ideal, and we wanted to laze around, but we forced ourselves to pack up and move out. We made our way up a hill and very quickly noticed a drastic temperature difference. Our campsite was in a forested valley below, and the shade of the trees combined with the sinking cold air made it much chillier than the sunny hillside.
We saw some familiar wood ants' nests, which were likely keeping the critters warm beneath the snowfall. We passed by our camping spot from last time, and from there, we entered the forest once again.
We climbed up the familiar hill, and it was as epic as we remembered.
Dried ferns and brush around us were windswept by the powerful gales that flowed over the hill. One of the trees on the hillside was barren and covered in dead branches, so I suggested that we grab some wood to take with us to the next campsite. We wanted our next campfire to have plenty of good fuel and tinder.
And then we were back on our way. We're about to go down the hill, and over there is the tree that we climbed in episode 1. Still just as majestic as ever, begging to be climbed, and looking quite beautiful on top of this beautiful hill. And the landscape in front of us is gorgeous beyond compare.
Literally, I can't even explain it through words. The video does not do it justice, and I wish I could live here. The end.
Having reached the bottom of the hill, we continued hiking across the vast landscape.
It was a tougher hike than we remembered, likely due to the weather and all of our winter clothing. After reaching the top of another knoll, we took time to rest and eat.
Got this canned octopus. I think this one is in soybean oil or something. Delicioso.
You have something green on your nose. I think it's avocado.
Probably is. Wow, that is really good. You want to try? Bryan, you want to try? Better hurry up because I'm going to finish all that. Kind of like fish almost. Got a little caper in the middle. It has like all the flavors of the world in one little bite.
No words. No, it's good. It's very anchovy.
Bryan?
Organic hot dog. Made from grass-fed beef. This ain't your usual wiener. This is a high-class wiener. Only fit for high-class society. If you are a regular plebeian, certainly not for that plebeian.
With renewed energy, we continued on. We passed by the deciduous forest with a stream where we'd filtered water last time. There was no need for water this time, though. Our thirst was quenched and our spirits were filled. We hiked across the fields, making our way to a distant evergreen forest.
Within the forest, the sun seeps through the spruce boughs, casting the snow in an ethereal light. Emerging from the forest, we were greeted by the vistas of what we now refer to as the Scottish Highlands.
A lot of this area looks very familiar from the first episode in Dolly Sods. A lot of rolling hills, kind of dotted with trees.
It's a little bit harder hiking than I remember. I think part of that is the snow and mud and grass.
I mean, it's mostly due to the weather, I think, just because we're carrying a lot of extra clothes and everything's just a little bit tougher to manage when you're wearing a heavy coat and gloves and everything like that.
Big old tripod doesn't help either, but it's worth it. Further on, we passed a cozy campsite that was recessed in some trees.
Yeah, that's definitely a fire circle right there.
I completely missed this last time.
Yeah, so did I. Maybe it's because the trees were thicker last time.
This would be a very nice camping site.
Still not exactly out of the question.
That's true.
We wanted to do it. We still got daylight right now.
Left a lot of good wood here.
I've got wood for days. And what was the campsite you guys stayed at in terms of the firewood? Because it looked like it was like in the middle of a plain.
Yeah, there was not that much.
It was in the middle of a bog. It was wet.
We can camp anywhere. That's something to keep in mind also.
Sure. So we keep going.
Okay.
You guys okay with that?
I'm going to camp here the third time I come back.
There were many nice looking campsites along the trail, but we kept moving so that we could make good time.
The varying landscape took us again into some woodland, where we spotted something strange in the distance.
Hello! It's either going to be a Yeti or somebody who's been out here for years.
Yeah.
And thought nobody would be out here so they could stop hiding their tarp.
We come in peace. Les Stroud, we may have found the Bigfoot you've been looking for. It looks like an old tarp. Maybe we'll have a free tarp. But if we do take it, better make sure we're not taking someone's only means of shelter.
I don't see any footprints around, do you?
No, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Oh, it's an old chair. It's an old chair.
Oh,
And wood for days.
I've got wood for days.
wait, and there's a tea kettle too. Judging by the tea kettle, it's been out here a little while. Hey, there's a pot and a hoe or something. Clearly they had a lot of coals.
Wow, look at all those coals.
This
Somebody
is-
living out here or something?
This is really bizarre. Why would they just leave the chairs here? Wait, there's something under this rock too.
Some trash they left here. I guess they didn't want it to blow away, but probably just left it for whoever else wanted to use it.
That's really weird. I mean, oh, it's kind of cool that they have like all that stuff, but probably shouldn't have left it. The only problem is we have no room to take any of this. Like,
That's sure.
otherwise we'd clean it up like the good campers that we are.
The abandoned campsite was a strange sight, but there wasn't much we could do about it. So we collected more firewood and continued hiking.
We emerged from the forest and came to a familiar trail intersection. Well, familiar for Andrew and I, anyway.
This is the point in the hike where all conception of time and memory is gone.
My memory is that the campsite is right here, but I actually, now that I think about it, there's more. Wait, that's not a campsite there, is it?
That's like, it's right over there. I think we just have to get through here and then we're there.
I don't even think we should cross here. Maybe we should just keep going this way, or?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Actually, that does look...
Okay, let's just stick on the left side and let's do it.
Okay, be careful. Yeah. Well, there's some rocks here, actually. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Well, now you know to avoid that, I guess. It clears up a little more here. Just try to stick to those rocks and... Ooh! I guess our motto is, what's an adventure without a challenge?
Okay, well, we definitely found the trail again, which is good. I see it. It's up here.
Yeah, that's it up there.
Oh, yeah. That's the campsite I know and love. Oh, I love this place. This is like my second home, even though I've only been here once before. Welcome to Dolly Sods.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it looks perfect, man. It doesn't look too wet or anything. Looks pretty dry, actually.
Yeah. Oh, what a relief. Oh, look at that sky.
Oh, I
You
love
know,
it.
Last time I was here, I thought, wow, this looks like we're in some prehistoric world, and it still does, especially with that sky. That's incredible.
We had finally made it to the campsite. It felt good to sit together and enjoy the scenery and the atmosphere. It was time to put all that wood we collected to use and start a fire. This time, we were determined to use only natural tinder. We started with some birch bark. After last night, we were all pretty on edge about getting the fire going.
There we go, there we go. Get those feather sticks!
Put it in the fire. Put it in the fire.
No, just, okay,
Put it in the fire.
go put the feather stick on there right now. Okay.
Well, the fire went out again. So we tried with some finely feathered sticks this time.
After the last night, we'd be damned if we were giving up now.
Yep.
Got it.
Go, 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 go. Get those right now.
But we weren't taking any chances, so we added some of the dryer lint, just in case.
We need a bunch of little twigs.
Yep, I got it.
Try not to let that burn too fast.
Keep it going. Don't let it, yeah.
Dude, life is really all about contrast. Alan Watts, in one of his talks, he said, "Why are you banging your head against the wall?" And he said, "Because it feels so good when I stop." And then Bill Mason was talking about portaging, and he was like, "The only good part about portaging is when you get to stop and it feels so good." In the same way, my feet were cold and wet all day, and now putting them next to this fire feels better than anything in the world. But if I were at home putting them next to the fire, I'd be like, "Ooh, this is nice." But I wouldn't be like so happy about it, right? Like I am right now.
With the fire going, we had some nice soup with broccoli and fish. After the soup, it was time for the main course, sugar-free bacon.
This bacon tastes just as good as sugar bacon, maple bacon, all that, the different varieties they have.
Sugar-free bacon is surprisingly difficult to come by. And it's a shame because the meat was delicious without it. Sugar is actually one of the most damaging substances to your health. And if you can manage to limit or even cease your intake of it, you'll find yourself more sensitive to flavors and enjoying food more.
And there's no better way to cook bacon than over an open fire.
The bacon is ready.
Oh, man. That is the spot. Oh, yeah. Crispy, crunchy, and gooey. Everything you want bacon to be.
So this is a bag of mullein. Mullein, as we've talked about before, is a nice plant that grows naturally in these areas. You can use it as toilet paper, you can make tea out of it, and it's nice and medicinal for your respiratory system. But you can also smoke it. And I've got some dried leaves here that I'm going to crumble into a pipe. And this pipe is really special to me. This is a pipe made of pipestone.
Did you make that?
Yeah, I carved this. The stone is actually really soft to carve, and then when you're done, you just sand it down and you can oil it. I was going to use mineral oil, but I actually read that human oil gives a nice finish, so I just kept rubbing it with my hands and stuff. You just mash this mullein into the bowl there, and we are going to light it, of course, with a stick from the fire. Now, smoking it also has a medicinal effect for your respiratory system. So when you smoke it, you might feel an initial sting in your throats, but it actually feels really good and you don't cough and your sinuses sort of clear out. Give it a try.
It's the most pleasing smoke I've ever smoked. I've smoked other things, but other things, whenever you smoke it in, it always hurts. But this always has this cool feeling. It's really weird.
Good stuff.
At dawn, fiery clouds swirled in the sky, eventually dissipating to reveal the bright, warm sun in a clear blue sky.
On a scale of 1 to 2100 million, how good does that sun feel?
About 50 trillion. I see now why the sun is the greatest god in so many religions. People just must have been really cold.
Have you ever heard the story about the sun, the wind, and the rain? They have a competition and they say, I bet you I can get that guy to take his jacket off. And I'm like, oh, I bet I could do it too. Come on, no problem. So the wind starts blowing really hard, and then the guy like bundles up his jacket, and he blows even harder, and he bundles up his jacket. So then the wind wasn't able to do it, so the rain was like, I bet I can do it. And like it was a typhoon, and like the guy was just like, he put his hood on, and it was like doing this and bundling up. And the sun was like, let me show you how it's done. The sun comes out, the sun starts shining on the guy goes, oh, that feels good, and he takes his jacket off.
No, that's like the whole saying, like how Bruce Lee says to beat water, because hammers can break apart stones into millions of pieces, but waters will erode it into nothing.
That's true.
It's also similar to a Thoreau quote where he's writing about spring. He says, Thaw with her gentle persuasion is more powerful than Thor with his hammer.
Oh, man.
It's just melting all the ice away.
People often try to force things to go their way. Parents might scream and yell at their children to make them behave, and authority figures exercise brutal force to put people in line. But the best way to get things to happen is to be gentle and make others see why your way is better. If you have to resort to using force anyway, well, maybe it's time to reevaluate your ways.
With the morning sun shining, we eventually got packed, filtered water, and made our way to the trail.
By today, the sun had melted much of the snow, and the warmth renewed our vigor, so we decided to explore around a little bit.
Just off the trail, we saw a ditch full of cattails, which would have made great tinder for last night's fire, if we had seen it.
We also saw an incredible beaver dam. Although it just looked like a pile of sticks, the dam was so watertight that the ground we stood on was several feet below the height of the reservoir behind the dam. To think that each of these sticks was not off by a persistent beaver is pretty fascinating.
We got back on the trail, and after some more hiking, we looked at the map and made the decision to take a new path for the final stretch of the hike.
I say we take this original path, but then take this 520, Trail 520.
Sounds good. The book is closed on that chapter.
We were all excited to see what new sights laid in wait for us on the final stretch of the trail.
Before that, though, we came across a familiar river crossing. We had fond memories of wading through the wide stream in the warm season.
But this time of year, it was going to be extremely cold, and we would have to cross the river in bare feet to keep our shoes and our clothes dry. But first, we wanted to test the waters a bit.
Oh, yeah, that's way too cold that's a little cold for a dip. I am gonna dunk my head. Woo!
Dunking our heads in was pretty crazy, but for some reason, it wasn't quite crazy enough for us.
That'll wake you up. Woo! 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 I did that for you, Kenton. Get ready to blur this out. How you doing? Yep. Naked? Fuck. Naked. Like George Costanza. Oh, one more.
It is so cold. My arms are going numb. Oh my god. My arms are literally tingling. Pain is starting to seep in. It was actually not as bad as I thought, but that might just be my body instantly going numb. The second time I dipped down, my body forced itself to come back up. It's just like, nope.
The image that I'm looking at right now is like one of those museums where they show a caveman in a field.
I dedicate that to Ken Whitman at Rewild University and a Lone Wolverine 1984.
And then it was my turn.
Here we go.
That's pretty good, actually. Chief Grug has taken the plunge.
I got water in both ears. Man, that was really cold. Oh, the breeze is quite cold too. But I feel very much awake right now. There's no joke about that. My brief existence flashed before my eyes.
Are you warming up yet? Because I am actually very comfortable right now.
It's pretty cold. I cannot feel anything.
Kudos to you guys. I would not dunk myself in that. Like 3 seconds of in that water, and I was numb. I was going numb.
Feel good though, don't it?
Oh man. Ready to take the rest of this trip. Just run the rest of it.
And then it was time to actually cross the river.
Back in to hell.
Oh man, that's cold. Holy cow. And that hurts.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
It is rocky and cold. Oh. And that is a good combination for pain. Okay, onto the grass. Onto the grass. Oh. Oh.
Holy jeebus.
That was a spicy meatball.
We were back on dry land, and the sun was quick to dry our feet.
The rest of the trail was quite soggy and wet, just as we had remembered.
But as wet and cold as it was, everything was still so beautiful. The scenery was incredible, and the green mosses and red plants looked like living Christmas decorations.
Along the way, we came across a fairly large river valley, which we hadn't noticed before.
We also came across a cozy riverside campsite that was hidden away behind some pine trees.
Last time we had come here to record, we found out there was somebody already here with a camp set up.
And after that, we reached the final trail junction, where we would be diverging from our original path.
We found this, so we're gonna pack it out.
This is the last stretch, and I have very mixed feelings. I want to leave and I want to stay.
Well, like we were talking about the contrast earlier. This like whole thing is like a contrast to society. You could sit at home and watch TV, and you'd be comfortable. You can come out here and you can struggle and just see how tough it can be. But when you do get home, or the minute you finish, it feels rewarding. It's like
a post-hiking meal, whatever it's gonna be, is
always look forward to that post-hike meal. So, shall we move out?
I guess so. Beaver Dam Trail.
The trail took us first through some dense brush where many saplings and bushes grew. It then opened up to young forests and fields dotted with large rocky boulders which looked like ancient ruins or collapsed Stone Age temples.
As we made our way up the trail, we took in all of the beautiful surroundings.
It was the final stretch of the hike, and the beauty of the wilderness around us compelled us to stop and look back out onto the horizon.
It was the end of this journey, but the start of a new year. A year brimming with possibilities, hopes, and dreams. But even if you don't fulfill all of your hopes or reach all of your goals, and if you're left feeling lost and you don't know what to do with your life, there's one thing that never fails. Like Christmas teaches us, just do something for someone else.
And no matter who you are, what holidays you celebrate, or what you do or don't believe in, we wish you a Happy New Year.
Wow, that was amazing.
Man, that was really good. That must have taken them forever.
Did you see that intro?
Oh my God, you see that intro? It was made like After Effects or something.
Yeah, I don't know what
2D
that is, but
animation.
yeah, probably.
Man, you know, we should reward them for all that time and effort they spent on it by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with all of our friends.
Wait. Does it cost money to subscribe or like or any of that?
Yeah, nope.
Oh, it's got to be a lot of time though, right?
No, actually it doesn't. It doesn't take any time.
Let's go ahead. And what do you say we give it another watch?
I'm down.
All right, let's go.